Hey there, it's Derek here from Pacific Coast Auto Japan, and we're looking at what might be our first Infiniti here on the channel. This is an EX35, which has a VQ35 engine. Now, this is an import, I believe, from Canada to Japan, and then making its way back to Canada again. And what's fun about this is excuse me, this is my first car I knew about in Japan before I knew it was available outside of Japan. So an Infiniti EX is what it's called. Here in Japan, this is known as the Skyline crossover. And then when we bought this, I was like, oh, an EX35, I've never heard of it. And then when it came in and I saw it, I was like, oh yes, of course, the Skyline crossover. Everybody knows about that. But I guess these were available in North America as the EX35, which all of the viewers are going to know. I didn't know. I remember seeing it for the first time thinking, wow, it's not very much like a Skyline, is it? But yes, here we have it, left-hand drive here in Japan. Somebody imported one when, yeah, you could get the Skyline for a cheaper price here in Japan, the Skyline crossover. But instead, someone was like, I'm going to import one as an Infiniti so that I can be cool. And then now we're sending it back to Canada. Oh no, it must be an American model because we have the mileage in miles per hour on the outside and then kilometers per hour on the inside. So there are a lot of cars that are imported here into Japan, and then they end up falling in value fairly quickly here, as that normally does. And then they get exported back to their original home country. We see a ton of German cars that do that, a ton of American/Canadian cars that do that. And people tend to target the Canadian cars, it seems, instead of the American ones, because the mileage is in kilometers per hour for one, and then, excuse me, have coronavirus right now, no joke. You might hear me coughing a little bit more. What was I saying? Brain fog, coronavirus's fault. Probably the exchange rate at the time made it more valuable to buy them from Canada instead of the USA, because basically they're the same vehicle. But yeah, Infiniti, a special name compared to Nissan, and so driving around this in Japan is pretty cool. The FX 45s are pretty common here too. Anyway, let's go over the auction inspection sheet. It's a 2008 Infiniti EX35 Coupé. It's kind of funny, they call it a Coupé, but then the Japanese one is called a crossover. Auction grade 4, interior B, exterior B, 46,770 miles, not kilometers. Automatic transmission, of course. And then it says Strata navigation system by Panasonic, a toll collection box, clearance sonar, power seats, ivory leather, and a seat heater. So interior is going to be a little bit different. Floor mat seats, interior, like everything is just going to be like higher grade because it's Infiniti compared to the Skyline crossover. So there is reason to import them. Windshield rock chip, interior scratch, dirty, wear. Door mirror and wheel scratched, very small scratches, small dents, and shallow scratches. Steering wheel wear, seat wear, underside surface rust, corrosion, and painted. So I didn't do the picture report on this one, so I don't know exactly where any of our damages are. Those have all been done by Jacob. Looks like everything is good except for the exhaust. But, I don't know, I can't really see up in there. The exhaust looks a little weird. Aftermarket exhaust would fix that though. And it would probably sound pretty good. It is a VQ, so it's a Fairlady or a Nissan Z engine in it. Pretty suitable amount of power, I would think. Probably somewhere around 300 in this iteration. Okay, so let's take it for a tour. Overall condition is looking pretty good. Something like this, if someone's paying the extra money to buy it from a dealership in the USA, ship it over here, and then tack on profit, probably 10 grand of profit in doing that sort of thing, they're probably going to keep their Infiniti EX35 in better condition than you would one that's just a North American model. And I'd like to know, like, if someone could tell me in the comments, is this seen as a nice car? If you saw somebody driving around this, would it be considered a nice car, or is this kind of like the Ultima of North America? I'm not really sure. None of that was really a thing. Like, Nissan made good cars, and then when I left, people started making fun of Nissan as being a bland company. I'm not too sure. Here in Japan, Nissan's never really been seen as a bland company. But I don't know. I don't keep track of what people are thinking here in Japan so much as I do. Come to my own conclusions of things and then just tell people. Okay, so some of the details here. Overall, like the shape. It's a crossover. Everyone likes crossovers now. It has some appeal because of that. Headlights are nice and swoopy. Reminds me, actually, like fairly much like the what is it called? The Q in North America, Q35. I don't know. What's the Skyline called? In North America, the grille has a little bit of scratch damage there, and then there are a number of small chips on the edge of the hood for driving too fast on the highway. Chip, 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 chip. They're all small, but they all add up. Okay, the front bumper has taken a scuff here, right by the corner, and you guys can hear the cicadas, can't you? The sound kind of goes away in your head. That's just a substance on there. It's not actually damage. But then the sound's not going to go away on your guys' heads because it's recorded and it's not your regular environment. If you just walk around outside in Japan, you just stop hearing the meh, 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 meh sound. The cicadas are every single year, not like in North America, where they're only out like once every, 12 years or something, 14 years. So a few minor areas of damage there, like these taillights. The 3D design of them is quite nice. The Infiniti badge. You've got the luxury car that nobody else has. Edge here has taken a little bit of damage and has been painted over some of that damage, actually, it looks like. And then I believe both of these, excuse me, both of these doors have been repainted. It kind of has that look, right? Coming down here, looking all right. These doors don't look like they've been repainted. Doesn't even have too many scratches around the door handle. So yeah, I'd say I'm pretty happy with the condition of this one. Yeah, this, just like the other side, this side, it like can flex a little bit, but I think that's just how they were made. Doesn't look like anything's missing there. Nonetheless, it's weird. Let's open the trunk. And this was, yeah, I arrived in 2006 in Japan. This is a 2008. And we used to live right near the Nissan World headquarters, which has a showroom where you can poke around in all the cars. And when I first arrived here in Japan, I was poor and had a 2-year-old daughter, and we would go pretend to drive all the cars all the time. She just loved doing it. And this was one of the new cars at the time. And so it reminds me very much of our early days living in Japan. Oh, a Bose speaker system that goes into the spare tire well. The old fair ladies had that, like Z32 had a Bose system that kind of did a similar type thing. That is really cool. And nice little upgrade too. Excuse me. Let's go in from this side into the back seats. Okay, you don't get a ton of space, but it's not a penalty box either. Nice leather seats in there. Interior does have a feeling of some opulence, at least some 2008 opulence. What do we got for our fold down here? Okay, it's sizable. 2 cup holders in it, a little bit shaky. Or if you're going to put drinks into it. Fans in the back. Nissan embroidery in the floor carpets. And beige everywhere. Okay, into the driver's side. Our driver's door card looking pretty good. There's a couple of memory functions for the seats. I do wonder how these compare to the Skyline, because we actually haven't sold any of the Skyline versions. I recall the Skyline had only fabric seats in it though, no leather. But maybe leather was an option. It was pretty common for that market segment to have that as an option on the higher end ones. The embroidery there is a nice high quality. And steering wheel's a little sticky. So, might have to do with the extreme temperatures that we have today. And trust me, how much I want to get out of my bed when I've been sick to come and shoot these in what feels like 43-degree temperature. I'm going to sweat all of my sickness away. I remember that Nissan, so going back to sitting in all of the Nissan cars, they all had these clocks in them. It was like, Nissan's like, we're going to have analog clocks, and that's going to be our differentiating factor. people won't buy the Toyotas because we have the analog clocks. Kind of funny. Looks like back seat controls for something. I'm not really too sure what that is. And then seat heaters, good for Canada. Strati Navi system will come out of here. Although you have to be shifted in D for it to come out. Kind of weird. There was a little bit of an issue with the cancel for the shifter. You have to hit the brake. Sometimes you have to hit the brake pretty hard in order for this to open up. But other times it seems to be okay. So I'm not entirely sure if there is something broken in there, but it does function properly as long as you step on the brakes enough. And then has these rubber floor mats in it, which are Vital Road. They're not the original ones. I would take these out immediately, but it is good that it has them because it's going to have kept your original mats in better condition underneath. Interior has no smell of cigarettes or anything. Has a weird little thing. Look, a monitor here, which you can flip down. But if you ever look at the monitor from the back, it's like, sorry, you get no panel back there. You just get the raw, real-life version of the car instead of the sculptured version that was meant for the eyes. So I'd say that a car like this, really interesting to try to import for resale. There are a lot of cars that are just forgotten by people. And it's not because they're bad cars, it's just because they're just not on the radar. And then, as a result, the price is lower than you would expect it to be. And I think that's probably the case with these ones. So I think maybe a good buy at the moment. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for watching, and have a nice day.